In today's video, we unbox a veritable treasure trove of discount wargaming miniatures from Confrontation, Age of Ragnarok. Hey everybody, this is Lee from SkirmishWargames.com, and today we're talking about discount wargaming miniatures, particularly those from a game called Confrontation, Age of Ragnarok. Confrontation was produced by a company called Rackham out of France, and they ran from about 1997 through 2010. And earlier versions of Confrontation, particularly version 3.0 and 3.5, are very fondly remembered by folks, which is good news for them because there is a new company called Sans Detour, which has apparently picked up the rights to Confrontation 3.5, and they are doing a Kickstarter right now. And by the second day, they've already raised about $750,000. So it looks like there will be a revised version of Confrontation 3.5 and then a new version of Confrontation kickstarting in about 2019. Unfortunately, renewed interest in Confrontation also means that some retailers may not be discounting Confrontation Age of Ragnarok as deeply as they have in the past. This whole package, all of this stuff, I picked it up about a year ago. I think maybe February of 2017, so a little bit more than a year ago. And I think it cost me, with shipping, just under $200, which is kind of crazy. Now, $200 is not an insignificant amount of money, I know. However, I figured for the amount of stuff I was getting, even if I wasn't going to be playing a lot of this particular game, a lot of these figures could be used for other things. So let me show you kind of what I got here. One of the best deals around, and these are still available, even though this particular game, I believe Confrontation and Rackham sort of discontinued their run around 2010. And this was one of the last things. This might have been like a 2007 release, but they did a little shift. So earlier, as I understand it, Confrontation was a lot of unpainted metal minis, and they were very highly regarded, and there was a couple different versions of the rules up through about a version 3.5, which was online only. This could be considered unofficially, from what I read, version 4, Confrontation version 4, and it's a little bit different. So they switched at some point, they switched their business model from unpainted metal minis to pre-painted plastic minis. And this set here, I think I got this for like 19 bucks online. So I picked up a couple of them because you get a whole host of these little spearmen. You get some Wolfen. There's terrain in here. There's a couple of paper maps, even dice and a ruler. And what I think is especially cool about this, in addition to the artwork is fantastic, is that everything's included. So if some kid or somebody new to gaming was to get this as a gift or whatever, they can go to town right now. It's pretty neat. So I'm going to take a minute, I'm going to open this up, and we're going to take a look at it, and then I'll show you some of the other things that we got to. So pretty much you got everything you need for a basic scenario in here. You got two factions. This is the Wolfen. Data cards for the troops. Somebody told me online that they liked these particular spearmen because the spears were all pretty straight. And as you can see, they are pretty straight. These guys are packed in there pretty good. You're not fooling around. Must be a sergeant. All right, so complete rulebook. Some crazy illustrations here. As you can tell, they put a lot of thought into this. And it's a shame it didn't continue on, but I noticed a lot of game systems sort of met the end around that 2008-2010 time period when the economy started to crash. So, I mean, look at that. So if they just were struggling a little bit, sometimes they didn't make it. So what I understand was when Rackham went out of business, they had this game, a couple of board games, and then a science fiction game called AT-43, which we'll get into at a later time. So these little spearmen, as you can see, are pretty darn neat. And for pre-painted minis, these are not too shabby. So just for fun, I picked up all the army books for the various factions. This is the Wolfen. These are the lycanthropes. The Lenars, that's the barony. That's one of the human armies. Temple, these are guys kind of like the Templars. They're sort of like the religious fanatics. Creatures of the Durs, these are, if I pronounce that correctly, these are alchemists, and so they have a lot of kind of fantastic creatures. And the Ram is the undead army. I didn't get any of the Ram forces with this particular purchase, but I did buy a Ram army box at a collector's price, and I'll show you that in another video. So a lot of the generic infantry guys that you would get, you know, the spearmen and the swordsmen and the archers and stuff like that, were not really available. What they had most of was the alchemists and the Wolfen. But these Durs miniatures, these alchemist miniatures, are pretty cool. Here's some sentinels. I guess those are kind of like the basic troops. They got a lot of big mutant creatures that they're engineering out there in the desert. And then, and of course, you got heroes. Here's an advanced version of one of the mutant creatures. So unfortunately, these alchemists were not included in the base starter set. You know, that was basically just the Wolfen and the Temple army troops. But I did pick some up, so I'd have some elements of another faction. At the time, about a year ago, when I bought these, there were a few human troops available. Not many, but I did pick some up. This is a spearman attachment. These are like the banner and the musician that kind of give a bonus to the regular spearman troops. These card decks here were just a few bucks a piece. And I think the function of these was, as I explained, if I understand it correctly, they were earlier versions of Confrontation designed for the metal miniatures. So people might have had a lot of those painted up already. And so when Ragnarok came around, maybe they wanted to use those in Ragnarok. So I think what these do is if you had old metal miniatures that you painted up that you were using for Confrontation 3 or 3.5 or even earlier, then you could have the stats for using them in the new version of the game. These Wolfen, they are still pretty readily available. There's a lot of them available online. I think some of these were as cheap as $3.50 a box on clearance. $4 or $5 is not unusual. But yeah, they're pretty cool. Here's a close-up of the couple of the heroes. And then you have the basic troops, the trackers. And then these are the fangs, I assume because of the blade weapon. And shadow trackers. And then here's another box set that is readily available online. I paid $35 for this. And it is the Wolfen Army box. So somebody put a lot of thought into this packaging. You got the bonkers art on the front cover. And then there's even a little window there in the back, if you can see. Pardon the shine. Which shows, you know, some representations of the miniatures you get. And then a diagram that shows you get the Wolfen miniatures, some allies, some terrain, cards, dice, and even a ruler. But there's one thing that's kind of goofy about this. These minis, let me pull this guy out. If you look at them, they're only half painted. I mean, they painted his hair, but they didn't paint any of the little details, which I thought was kind of odd. The terrain looks kind of cool. So I thought, wow, is that just me? Did I just get a bad batch? But I looked it up online, and nope, apparently they're all like that. So these are half painted. This set came out about 2009, which was sort of toward the end of this gaming system. And I just kind of wonder if, I don't know, if they were just trying to get rid of some stuff that hadn't been completely through production yet. But anyway, these are nice miniatures, but they're not painted the same way as the other ones. I'll put up a picture that shows you the comparison. So you just take it with a grain of salt. 35 bucks, you get some terrain, you get a bunch of miniatures, you get the cards and everything like that. But you may have to either live with them being half painted or paint them up yourself. So anyway, that is our look at a bounty of Confrontation Age of Ragnarok stuff that I bought about a year ago and then just sat on until I saw that the Kickstarter was going. So I thought, well, that's timely. We can talk about that And if anyone's interested in the Kickstarter, they can go check that out. Though I think they're going to be fine. Those guys are closing in on $1 million for their funding, and it's only like day 2. Well, we hope you enjoyed this look at some cheap wargaming miniatures, courtesy of Confrontation, Age of Ragnarok. If you like our content, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, give us a big thumbs up, and or visit us online at skirmishwargames.com.